Hey guys, this is Austin, and today I'm here with my review of the iPhone 6 Plus. Put it side by side with the 5S and the difference in size is almost ridiculous. You're getting a much thinner phone with the 6, however you do lose the chamfered edges in favor of a seamless design between the glass and frame. While it's nice in the hand, I actually prefer the chamfers on the 5 and 5S. It gives you something to grip and it looked and felt premium. Instead of having the antenna built into the frame of the phone, instead there are now plastic antenna lines which actually look very similar to what you'll find on the HTC One M8. Now personally I don't think this is a terrible idea, however it definitely looks much better in my opinion on the space gray version as opposed to silver or gold. The sleep wake button has been moved over to the side of the phone, which is definitely a welcome change considering just how much bigger the 6 Plus is. And while yes, there is a protruding camera lens, it ended up not being as big a deal as I was afraid of. So yes, when you set it down on a table, it will wobble just a little bit if you touch the top. However, for the most part, it's really not a big issue, and the camera lens seems to be at least a little bit protected by that metal ring around it, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it getting scratched up. Now don't get me wrong, the 6 Plus is still a very nice slab of aluminum and glass, however it has lost a little bit of the specialness of the previous design. Just a little bit of a step backward in my opinion. In return though, you have a much larger screen measuring in at 5.5 inches, big enough to nearly fit the entire iPhone 5S in it. Because of this, there's no way of getting around it. The 6 Plus is a huge phone. Apple has included a new reachability mode, which brings the top of the screen down by double tapping the home button, and while I can see it might be useful for some people, it's definitely not the most elegant solution. Put it side by side with the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, and you'll see it's a bit taller while being both narrower and thinner. In real use, it feels about the same. It's pocketable and usable on a daily basis, but this is definitely not a phone you want to use with one hand. My friend Jenner from Your Average Consumer did a great video getting people's reactions to the 6 Plus, which you guys can check out in the description, but it does border on too big for a lot of people. In return though, you're getting one of the nicest screens on any phone period. The 1080p resolution is just right for a screen of this size in my opinion, and you're getting great viewing angles and excellent color reproduction. Compared with the iPhone 6, you're getting a bigger, higher resolution screen that while it's not an enormous difference, is definitely noticeable when you're doing things like browsing desktop sites. Just like when the Retina display first came out, while basically all apps will work on the 6 Plus, those that haven't been updated yet are just being upscaled, which definitely looks a little fuzzy compared to an app that's actually meant to be running on this 1080p screen. System apps like Safari are fully up and running with the new screen, and they do give you a split landscape view kind of like an iPad in a few places. However, most of the apps that I use every day could definitely use an update to support the new screen. Speaking of the iPad, there's actually a new landscape mode for the home screen, which while it's a nice option, it can be a bit weird to pull your phone out of your pocket and have the screen upside down or sideways. Inside both the 6 and 6 Plus, you're looking at an Apple A8, which sports a 1.4 GHz dual-core processor, 1 GB of RAM, and a quad-core PowerVR GPU. Now this might not sound like much compared to quad-core Android phones clocked twice as high, however don't let the specs fool you. In Geekbench, the 6 Plus beats the Note 3 significantly in single-threaded performance, which is key for day-to-day use, and even matches the multi-threaded score with only half as many cores. It's no slouch in the graphics department either, as it clears a solid lead over the new Moto X in the Manhattan GFX bench test. Put the 6 Plus and 6 side by side though, and it's essentially a tie, as both have identical internals. When benchmarking your gaming, after a while all phones will start to warm up. Now usually the phone will start to throttle back clock speeds, slowing things down to keep the phone from being scalding hot and burning your fingers. The Apple A8 is supposedly able to avoid throttling, so I decided to put it to the test with the 6 and 6 Plus alongside the 5S and the One M8. The iPhone 5S measured in at just under 37 degrees Celsius after 10 minutes. Very warm to the touch, but not uncomfortably so. The One M8 topped out just a bit higher, still not unusable, but definitely on the warmer side. The iPhone 6 was a slight improvement, however the 6 Plus was basically cool to the touch except for a single warm spot on the side. It's not a big deal, but it's nice to see the 6 Plus can stay nice and cool without having to give up any performance. Good job, Apple! In normal use, the 6 Plus is incredibly snappy. While it's clear that iOS 8 still has some bugs to be worked out, the UI almost always stays smooth and responsive. It's not noticeably faster than the already solid iPhone 5S in real-world use, but it easily matches up to phones like the HTC One M8. One very disappointing part of the 6 Plus, however, is the memory. With a powerful 64-bit processor, Apple bizarrely chose to go with just 1 GB of RAM for the 5S, and they've kept it the same this year on both the 6 and 6 Plus. Now if you're just browsing Twitter or watching a few YouTube videos, this isn't a big deal. However, all it takes is a couple taps in Safari or a few apps open in multitasking, and you'll find yourself constantly having to refresh things. Now this is just silly. I mean, even the Galaxy S3 back in 2012 had 2 gigs of RAM. So why one of the most powerful phones here in 2014 only has 1 gig is just completely and totally beyond me. Like, seriously, this is just not cool. Now, something that is cool is being able to unlock your phone with your fingerprint, and while Touch ID was a great feature on the 5S, it's been improved here. It's a bit faster and most importantly accurate. Where I would have to retry my print at least a couple times a week with the 5S, the 6 Plus has only missed my print once in the hundreds of times I've unlocked my phone in the last couple weeks. While it's not out yet, you'll also be able to use Touch ID with Apple Pay soon, which looks seriously impressive. Another